Hi everyone and welcome to Module 1. With Module 1, we're going to start by taking a look at the overall American legal system and what that's about. So you're going to be reading chapters 1 and 4 this week, and we're going to actually take a look at the sources of law. In other words, where do we get our laws? Where do our laws come from or originate? And so we'll be looking at our U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. We'll be looking at federal and state statutes, federal and state regulations, and case law. We're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about books, articles, and the like, which are not law. Those things may reference the law and may talk about theories behind the law and may even reference case law and statutes and regulations, but the books are not law themselves. Just like your textbook for the course, it is not law, can't be used as law, but it's a great reference point because it's a great starting off point. Like from a diving board, if you think about books as diving boards, they're a great way for you to launch yourself into the water or into your research, but they cannot be utilized as a reference from a legal standpoint. Remember, we are in a law class, so at all times you want to make sure you're looking at legal sources for your information. We're going to talk about the classifications of law, criminal versus civil law, because there's a difference. We're going to take a look at how the law is broken down. There's substantive law and there's procedural law. The procedural law is how you get from point A to point B, and what you have to do in the process of getting from point A to point B. That's the procedural law. When somebody files a complaint, they have so many days to get the other party, the defendant, served with that complaint. That's the procedural aspects of the law, the filing of the complaint. The discovery that you all are going to be utilizing during this course for your team project, that's all procedural law. Substantive law is what's the reason for the lawsuit? Why is the person suing the other person? Why is the state prosecuting the individual who allegedly is a criminal? Why are they prosecuting them for that particular crime? What is the crime? Is it theft? What is, from a civil standpoint, are we talking about an automobile negligence case? That's what the substantive law is when we talk about substantive law. So then underneath each of those, we still have to divide it out even further, because we have civil law, we have general civil laws, we have contracts, we have negligence, products liability, we have juvenile dependency under that as well, we have family law, all of these different areas of civil law, and one can't step on the feet of the other. And then we have criminal law. Again, we have theft, we have murder, we have misdemeanors, we have felonies, different types of criminal laws as well. Then you look further, and then we're talking also about cyber law, because we have all these issues now of cybersecurity and cyber theft, identity theft. All of these things now fall under cyber law. We have the divisions of the law, federal versus state versus county versus city. Where's the priority? Obviously, we start with the federal laws because the federal government has priority under the U.S. Constitution, so therefore we have to give deference to federal laws. If a state law interferes with the federal law or contradicts it, or if a city contradicts a state law, and so on and so forth. Business ethics. When we talk about business ethics, what are we talking about? The golden rule, public disclosure. So these are all things that you're going to be looking at this week. Then from a federal standpoint, we look at the federal law. We've got, again, our constitutional law, which our U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And so we are governed throughout the United States by that Constitution, and we cannot do anything that would violate those constitutional laws and our rights within there. Then, of course, we have separation of powers, and so on and so forth. So when we talk about the different areas of the law, we talk about the sources of the law. You'll learn about administrative law, and administrative law has to do with regulations, because when federal or state statutes are created, they're created with a broad stroke, which means they're very broad and they have to be interpreted. So regulations come in, and regulations actually give solid meaning and definition to these very broad federal or state statutes, so that they can clarify the meaning of some sections of those statutes so that those laws can actually be enforced. So your instructor will advise you with regard to those things. So when you're looking at everything this week, you're looking at it from that standpoint. We're just giving you an overall understanding of the law and how it's broken down. Also, remember the term stare decisis. That means to abide by or adhere to a decided case. Stare decisis means a thing decided. And what that means is once a court rules on a particular type of case and creates case law, because when a court rules on a case, the court is creating case law, and when it does that, that means that now another court in that same jurisdiction cannot come in and change or make the law something different. You have to look at every fact of a case, and if the facts can be differentiated, then you can interpret that law in a different way, but you can't actually create new case law based on this precedent if we have case precedent, a thing decided. So in other words, if somebody is found not guilty of a crime, that's res judicata. They cannot now go back and say that they can try that person again. But if you look at the facts, you could say that based on the facts of that particular case, we have this case law that was established. And usually that's done through appeals. So stare decisis means a thing decided. Let's take a look real quick at your assignments for this week. So your homework this week involves in addition to completing the syllabus quiz, completing your introduction to everyone, and getting started on MindTap, this week you have your Module 1 discussion where you're going to create your own law. That's going to be so much fun. And then you're also going to do your own webcam research assignment and talk about your civil rights that are involved with these types of situations, and then complete quiz 1. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact your instructor, who I know will be more than happy to answer those questions. Have a great week.